for this stage. You have to kind of see what's going on. Sometimes if you're a table dog, you have to kind of remind the ring steward, hey, we need a table out here, because sometimes they forget. So be aware of what's going on in the ring. But when this judge is out here with this dog doing patterns and whatever they're doing, you have to kind of keep in mind that when this dog is coming around to the point where the judge is going to stop, I need to be ready. I want my judge to turn around like this and go, wow, that's a beautiful picture right there. You want to give them that image. Now, when you're stacking these dogs, actually, can somebody grab me the little one over there? That'll be a little bit easier for me on this table. Thank you. When you're stacking these dogs, there's a couple little tricks that are going to help you, whether the dog is on the table or on the ground. Thank you very much. First of all, if this is a table dog, you want to make sure that this dog is in the head straight position before it gets on this table. That way, if it's in the head straight position, it's not playing move the foot or move the body. So I'm actually getting the head straight down here. I'm supporting the weight of the dog from here and putting it on the table. If you have a table dog, you want to practice with the dog on the outside corner of this table. The reason for that is because you're older, smaller judges, it makes it easier for them to approach and examine this dog. Now, a little trick for most breeds is with most breeds, this paw here is going to be on the inside of this rear paw, is going to be in line with the outside of this front paw. So if I stack this front paw here, one paw distance away from this edge, then I know without even thinking about it that if this is on the edge, I have perfect paw placement when viewed from the front or the rear. If you have a dog that's on the ground, usually you will have either those rubber mats or platform or something like that, and you can do the exact same thing because most of those mats have lines in them. So you can use that as a guide. So when viewed from the front with most breeds, you will come straight down from the shoulder just like this. On the rear paws should, in most breeds, will be from the inside here, will be on the outside here. So if you're a judge, when you're looking from the front, you should be able to see 4 paws. Same thing from the rear. Now you'll see the backs of 4 paws. Why is that important? Because if the judges are looking at the top line and all these parts, and they see your feet are in the proper placement, then they know you're not fudging. Where if you go watch the people with American Cockers and they want to have those extreme top lines, they'll spread these rears out like this, and that drops that croup down, and it gives them a big sloping top line, which they think they're supposed to have, which they're not. Now, when viewed from the side, you have some rules you need to follow too. And again, with most of your breeds, from the withers point straight down should be the center of that foot. So if your foot is like this, that's incorrect. So if your judge is going to wither you, to measure you to see if you're at the proper height, and your feet are not in the proper spot, that is incorrect right there. So you have to know how to stack that dog properly because they will check those feet, both from the front and from the side. Now, with most breeds, when viewed from the side, the tip of this rear foot here should be in line if you were to drop a line straight down from the tip of the butt right in front of that foot. Where if you look again at a lot of breeds, they're way too far back like that. So if you learn how to use the foot placement when you're stacking your dog, you make the judge's job easier because they can view from the front, view from the rear, and say, wow, that dog's great, top line looks good, all the parts are where they need to be. But if you're not stacking your feet the way they need to be, then you make the judge's job harder, and that is not going to be a fun experience. If you have a table dog, you need to learn how to stack here. 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 And the reason for that is because some of the judges will have you stack on different parts of that table. And that could be a problem because you have to learn how to stack your dog backwards in some cases. If you have a non-table dog, you want to also learn how to stack your dog this way, and you want to learn how to stack your dog this way, because there may be a time when you will have to stack your dog like that too. What I also tell students to do is that get a mirror or get your phone with the video playing on there and stack your dog, watch the video, see where that foot placement is laying when viewed from the side and viewed from the front and the rear. The other thing too is get to the point where you stack this dog so many times that you can visualize and tell when that foot is not in the proper spot when you close your eyes. Then open up your eyes. If you're in front of a mirror, you can see if what your visual matches what is actually really happening right there. You can do that in the front and in the side and the rear. Also, again, get your cameras set up from a judge's perspective, and you can adjust these heights here, and you can see that. Because most of the time when people are practicing stacking, they have their cameras out here like this, and that's the angle they get. But you also need to see this too, because you need to see what the judge's perspective is from what you're getting from both the front and the rear angle. So a couple of different tips there. Okay, any questions on stacking so far? We'll get into a couple more tips now. So if I want my front to be set where it needs to be, I can do this without even looking to check that. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my left hand here, I'm in the head straight position, my left hand where my fingerprints are at, on my fingers. And I'm going to place this on my leg right below the upper arm. This is the upper arm, this is the shoulder that comes back. So when I place it here, I'm going to just pull this leg back until it comes off the ground. When it comes back forward again, it touches the ground, it should be right underneath that wither. So that's how you set your front. Then when you come back to this side over here, you can do the same thing and either set it back like this. Usually that's going to be fine. What most people do is they'll see this foot forward and they take this foot and they bring it forward. That will destroy your front if you do that. So practice doing what I just taught you. The other thing too is that if your toes are toeing into the ring like this, your toes will follow your nose. So when you go to pull this back, bring your dog's nose this direction. And then when you come back, you will be able to judge at what angle those toes are pointing, and you can direct that with the dog's head. Once that goes back down to where it needs to go, then you can bring this head straight again. When you're setting this rear foot, you want to take your palm and place it right on the bone, right on the joint right there where the hock bone is. When you do that, your dog's foot feels more supported. When you grab like this, or worse, grab from the stifle right here, your dog will have a tendency to shoot its foot out. So don't do that. So when you support this, then you can place this exactly where you need that. When you've lifted this up, that means your dog is supporting all their weight on 3 paws. So if you set this down, there's no weight on that. So now it can move the foot. So each time you lift a foot, load the weight back onto that foot again. If I bring this back, I load the weight back onto that foot. If I lift this foot off and bring it down, load the weight back onto that foot. And it makes it more difficult for that dog to actually move that foot. This takes practice. Most of the time people will avoid this and they just practice free stacking because it's more fun. The dogs aren't fighting them, but this has to be mastered, because if you're going to be competitive at those upper levels, this is a part where you need to do this correctly. And when I say correctly, I mean make it enjoyable for the judge. You saw the picture that was on there with that dog on the table and the smile, well, his version of a smile. From looking at that dog, that's what you want to have happen to your judges when they see you stack your dogs, okay? So practice this over and over, yes.
So, can you explain, my eye is not good when handling dogs. Explain with words what you mean by loading the,
Okay,
when you put it back
so
down.
when I lift this leg up off the ground and I place the foot back down again, there's no weight balanced on this
Right.
foot. The weight is balanced on these other 3 feet because I lifted that up. So what I'm going to do is when I place that down, I'm going to push the dog.
Okay.
I'll over exaggerate. I'm going to push the dog to put weight on that foot,
Okay.
so it makes it more difficult for it to lift.
Okay.
Does that help you there?
Yep, thank you.
I don't want to see people grab legs. I see that all the time in the ring. When you grab a leg, it shoots its leg out. When you do it the way I just taught you, with your fingerprints on the tips of your fingers, all you have to do is take this foot off the ground. Don't lift it off the ground, push it back. It will come off the ground. When you bring it forward, it will touch the ground and it will be in the perfect position that it needs to be. So those are a couple of tricks for stacking the dogs right there.
And tomorrow's homework.
Yes.
That's a lot of information
Yes,
right there.
it is a lot of information.
Yeah.
And we're gonna practice this.
uh,
That's why we're doing this right before lunch, so you guys can work as a village and help each other out with this. Okay, and then we're also gonna do this a little bit more tomorrow and keep going like that. It takes a long time to get the art of stacking a dog, but this is something that people avoid, and this is a real critical part of you winning at a dog show. Yes.
So, yeah, this is our big problem here. So, when I do the right front, usually I try and stack around the right front, which is probably, I'm sure it's a mistake, because she just falls apart when I do
Okay.
that.
I am glad you said that. So one of the things I want you to keep in mind, that if you are not connected with your dogs yet, they will fight you tooth and nail on this. Because they're saying you don't have the right to put your hands on me. You don't have the right to hold my head. You don't have the right to move that foot. I want you to think back to day one with the Chinerco that tried to eat me. Remember that dog? Remember, every time I moved a foot, what did it do?
Moved it.
It moved a foot. But as I started to earn respect and trust, what happened when I moved feet after that?
Left it there.
It left it there. So that was quick because the dog was learning about me. Your dogs have already proven that they are much smarter than you are. So in that case, it's going to take a while for that to happen. What you're learning today and the rest of this week is confirmation training stuff, which you and your dogs are not ready for. So any past experiences, etch and sketch those out because they're meaningless at this point for this exercise. Is it gonna go smooth? No. Will it go smooth if you practice on this? Yes. So that's why I said until you have that connection and you guys are practicing this stuff, it's better to get a life-size stuffed animal for your breed and practice on these. Every once in a while, well, on a multiple times throughout the day, you're gonna do head straight on your dog so you can start earning that respect and trust. But if you practice stacking your dogs when you and your dog is not ready, they're gonna fight you tooth and nail and you're gonna get frustrated. So those are some things I want you to think about. Here's the other thing too, like you said, this is a lot of information. So make a video, post the video. The group and I will all have one goal in mind, and that is to help everybody. So when you post that video and say, hey, you're grabbing that leg, we're gonna tell you, stop grabbing that leg, take your fingers, move them back like this, bring that leg forward again. When you're doing your head straight, you're putting your thumb on top of the muzzle, and that's incorrect. You want your thumb and forefinger to be on the side of that muzzle, like this, out to the end. So these are things that we're gonna all help each other to improve. I will, in most cases, sit back and let the group work together from this point forward. But if I see that something's going the wrong direction or I need to note something, I will step in and give some information. Because even with the master class on yesterday's homework assignment, I saw some of the master class students with fingers like this during the head straight. That is a basic thing, but people still forget. The importance of having your fingers out to the tip right here means you have more control of that head. Having your fingers back here, you have no control of that head. So it's not actually telling the dog that you're in charge. Yes.
So if we can't reach that part of a muzzle, is our chain too small?
Your chain is too small.
Okay.
And go over to Dawn and she'll exchange
Change
your
it
chain.
out. Okay,
for you.
cool.
So, yes.
Can you explain where the back toe is supposed to be? So
Yes,
that part
on
again?
most breeds, not on all breeds.
Okay.
But if I look down this dog and I see the tip of my butt right here, you will see a hip bone and a point here and a point that comes back over here. Wherever the tip of that butt is, should be at the tip of this front, or tip of this rear foot right there. Okay, and the hock joint should be straight up and down. All right, again, there's a lot of stuff that we need to focus on. I want you guys to grab these stuffed animals, practice with these, practice with your real dogs, group up in little groups, help each other out. We're gonna take lunch today from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. So that I don't wanna see a lot of people just sitting around talking. I wanna see, and you don't need to be running and doing laps either, because you'll be exhausted. But what I do want to see you doing is practicing and analyzing things. I'll make myself available. I want you guys to make each other available. Don't try to do this by yourself. If you try to do this by yourself, you're gonna make too much work for yourself. So get involved in groups, or one big group, however you wanna do that. Okay, anybody have any questions?
So, Eric, you're saying that we should not be practicing with our dogs, or we should?
I'm saying I wouldn't.
Would not,
If I was
okay.
you, I would prefer to be practicing with one of these.
Okay.
But if you decide you want to, keep in mind that it's not going to go exactly as planned. Dogs are gonna move their feet. Dogs are gonna bite you. They're gonna put their muzzles up. All that stuff's gonna happen. So if you're expecting that to happen, then it's okay. Because during this exercise, if you show any emotion whatsoever, your dogs are gonna see that you're weak and you're not gonna move forward. Because it's all about respect and trust at this point. Okay? Any questions? So 1 o'clock, I want you guys back in your seats ringside with leashes and collars only. 1 o'clock, ringside. So usually what I'll do is I'll go ahead and come underneath here and place my thumb on that bottom lip like this. My other fingers will come up here to show that front part of the bite. If I have to show the side and side, I'll do that too. That's something that you want to practice, because if you do this efficiently, then what will happen is most of those judges won't gripe about that. But if you don't do it efficiently, then those judges are going to want to stick their fingers in here. Now, a lot of judges also know that you can manipulate that bite with your fingers. So that's when they will take over and say, I'd rather see the bite myself. Because not that I've ever done this, but I know that if you take this finger and this thumb and stick it back here where these molars are, you can make this look like a pretty good scissors bite if that's what they're looking for. But never done that before, just heard of that. So. This finger here, this thumb and the molar there, and then when you show this, it looks like a perfect scissors
And you're
bite.
just careful to bridge the eyes, right?
Yeah, don't stick your fingers in the eyes. That, causes problems.
Well, I didn't know if my hand would be above the eyes.
That's why you keep this back here. Now, if the judge wants to come over and see the bite themselves, I would switch from this position here to this position here, where I'm basically gonna take my thumb and forefinger instead of the side of the muzzle, I'm gonna go into the V where this bone is on the jaw. And then that way they can examine that. If you have a dog that's very well trained, then you can basically pop over here and they can examine and see that bite. Now, the head straight position, which is more advanced, where you're teaching the dog to go head straight, if you've got your dog to that point where you can go head straight, Then you can switch over to here, let them see the bite, head straight, and then back off to let them examine the dog. That's to the point where you would like to get to. Again, be careful with some of the breeds where the judges are a little bit spooked about those breeds, because if you're standing back here and they're getting ready to examine this dog, they may have some hesitation, which could actually cause something to happen.
What if the judge wants to do the bite last?
If they want to do the bite last, they can do the bite last. That's fine. You just step back here, because you know by practicing that you can easily slide back here and you're back at that head straight position again.
There's very few judges that want to touch their mouth because of canine influenza.
Exactly.
Right now.
Well, you know, there's many reasons.
Yeah.
But that's why I say if you get proficient at showing the bite, then they don't have to worry about that. You know, I've had situations where, you know, people just can't show the bite, so I have to get in there and do it myself. But if someone is quick, they show me the bite, I see everything I'm gonna see, I'm not gonna wanna stick my hands in that dog's mouth, so. Okay, any questions about this? Yes.
So, where does the bait go between stage 4 and stage 5?
I usually don't have any bait between stage 4 and 5, but if I did, then I would be here at stage 4 playing with my dog and doing a trick or something. I could take my bait at this point, throw it over here, and then do a position 3. So while he or she is examining that dog there, I can have this dog into a position 3. So that is an option. That's something that you can try. I mean, you guys want to practice everything. You don't want to be a one-trick pony. You want to try different things because rings are going to be set up differently. But from here, I can take my dog, wind this up, and either I'm at position 5 now, or I head straight over here and pick it up and put it on the table. I do a lot of practicing at this position here from a stage 5, both on the ground and on the table, where I'll take my poker chips when I have a practice dog, or I'll take real bait when I have my real dog. And I want them to see me go like this and have that bait right there, and then I'll throw that bait out so they can hear and see where that bait is, and I'll stand back here and they'll be up over the top. In a real ring situation, I usually will not do that, but I just get that expression.
Right.
And then when I get this dog off the table, or I have my other dog and I'm over here at a position 6, as I get past my judge, I may head straight and slip it a treat real quick to let it have that treat, that reward for doing all that stuff. Again, there's no rules. There's no, you have to do this or you have to do that. What I'm giving you is organized suggestions so you can train this dog and make it easy and a pleasure to examine this dog on the table or on the ground. Or
There's no mouth exam with Slider if I have bait nearby.
You're right.
Right,
I have to
exactly.
get rid of the bait somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you get a judge that's really, really serious about that, you can always take and put bait underneath your fingernails, scratch the bait, and so the bait's right there underneath your fingernails. There's, you know, many different options. Again, what I want to do is give you guys an opportunity to have an organized pattern that you can follow and get your dogs prepared for this, because the easier you make this process for the judges, the bigger the weight you have in being successful in that ring. Okay, any questions?
Yep.
Yes.
Would you show how to run your lead up into your hand again for the
Okay,
head straight?
yeah, absolutely. So I can be completely at the end of this lead right here, and usually you're not gonna see me this far, but I'll get back this far so you can see how I would handle that. And then when I'm doing the head straight, my pinky is gonna be over the tag end, and then these 2 fingers are underneath where that circle is. So we're familiar with that, right?
Right.
Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the 2 fingers that normally go underneath that ring, and if I pull on this and bring myself to this position, that automatically brings those 2 fingers right to that ring. So you have those 2 fingers. What's that? Instead of trying to fumble with it, exactly. So let's say I'm back here, and all of a sudden the judge is coming around, and and the judge wants to do the exam on the head, if I come over to here, now I have to kind of fumble a little bit to get to that point. But if I simply take my finger here and slide it, it automatically puts these fingers in that position. So just practice that over and over again and you'll get really super quick on that. Okay, so what are we doing? Stage 1, a little trick. Stage 2, a little trick. Then we're doing a free step. Gating. Stage 8, a little trick. Then we're doing a free stack. Coming over to stage 4. And at stage 4, do a little trick. Do a little dance. Or whatever that song says. And then we're going to transition from stage 4 over to stage 5. And you are going to pretend like you're stacking your dog, or actually stack your dog, while you're talking about the parts. And again, right in your book, it states, start from the head, neck, shoulders, top line, croup. Then you have your center line, which brings you back over to your front. After you stack your front, you have the underline that brings you to the rear, and boom, your dog's ready to go. So you just practice that over and over and you'll develop a system, and so everything will be nice and smooth. You know what you're gonna do, your dog knows what you're gonna do, and everybody else sees something that looks like it's very professional. After you do that, and stack your dog, you'll step back, try to get expression. After you get expression, you're gonna imagine your judge coming around. You'll come back over to here, so you're ready for the head straight, so the judge can examine the bite. Okay, any questions? Simple, right? I'll walk you through it. If you get stuck, I will be your guide and I will walk you through it. And you're doing video, so you can post the video. How's that?
Yeah.
Questions? Everybody's ready? You're excited?